If you claim universal credit, there's a financial trap that could be silently cutting down your payments, and many don't even realize they are walking straight into it. This isn't speculation. This is a real and confirmed rule by the Department for Work and Pensions. And if your savings, investments, or even a modest emergency fund cross certain limits, your monthly universal credit payments could be reduced or even stopped altogether. With more than 7 million people across the UK relying on universal credit to help them stay afloat, especially in the midst of the ongoing cost of living crisis, this hidden rule about savings could be affecting far more households than anyone realizes. So here's the brutal reality: if your cash savings or investments total more than £6,000, the DWP will begin docking your benefits. It's not a gentle reduction either. For every £250 you have between £6,000 and £16,000, they deduct £4.35 from your monthly payment. Think about that for a moment. That means if you've got £6,300 in savings, you'll already lose £8.70 from your monthly universal credit, simply because you've dared to save an extra £300 beyond the limit. The first £6,000 is safe. But every pound beyond that? It comes with a price. Now imagine this scenario: if your savings exceed £16,000. You'll likely be ruled completely ineligible for universal credit. Yes, you heard that right. £16,000 in savings, an amount many would consider a responsible emergency cushion, is all it takes to cut you off from vital state support entirely. This applies to both single claimants and couples applying jointly. So whether you're managing your household solo or trying to make ends meet with a partner, the same harsh rule applies. But there's one crucial exception you need to know. If you're a tax credits claimant who's been asked to transition over to universal credit, you may still be eligible for up to 1 year, even if your savings are over £16,000. But after that year, you fall under the same rules as everyone else. It's a complicated system, and for many, it can feel punishing. Universal credit is meant to act as a safety net, a buffer for those who are unemployed, on low income, or caring for children or a family member. But this savings rule can flip that safety net into a trap. And that's not all. The structure of universal credit also includes a taper rate, a mechanism designed to reduce your benefit payments as your earnings increase. Currently, the taper rate is set at 55%. That means for every £1 you earn from work, 55p is sliced off your universal credit payment. It's a significant clawback that can make the transition from benefits to work feel like a financial treadmill. There's some hope, though, for a select group of people. If you're employed and eligible, you might qualify for what's called a work allowance. This is the amount you're allowed to earn before your benefits start to reduce. The work allowance stands at £411 a month if you also receive help with housing costs. If you don't receive any housing support through universal credit, your allowance jumps to £684 a month. So for those juggling part-time work and childcare or managing low-wage jobs, this allowance can mean the difference between affording basics or falling short. Let's dig into the numbers now, the real amounts behind these benefits. This is where we get a clearer picture of what universal credit actually pays out each month in 2025. The standard allowance, which is the core of the universal credit payment, varies depending on your age and relationship status. If you're single and under 25, you'll receive £316.98 per month. For those over 25, the amount rises to £400.14. Joint claimants both under 25 receive £497.55, and if one or both members of a couple are over 25, they're entitled to £628.10 a month. This base payment is meant to cover everyday living costs, food, bills, clothes, and other essentials. But it doesn't stop there. If you have children, there are additional elements you may be entitled to. For your first child, provided they were born before April 6, 2017, you could receive £339 a month. For children born after that date, or any second and subsequent children, you're entitled to £292.81 per child per month. For those raising a child with disabilities, you might qualify for the disabled child element. The lower rate is set at £158. £76, while the higher rate designed for children with more severe needs is £495, 87p. There's also support for adults with health conditions. If you have what's called limited capability for work, you may receive an extra £158, 76p a month. But if your condition is more serious, and you're assessed as having limited capability for work or work-related activity, that amount jumps to £423, 27p monthly. And for carers, people who dedicate their lives to looking after others, there's a dedicated element of £201, 68p per month. Universal Credit also tries to help working parents with childcare costs. Under the childcare costs element, the maximum you can claim is £1,031, 88p a month for one child and £1,768, 94p if you have two or more children. These figures represent a vital lifeline for working parents balancing their careers and family responsibilities, often on very tight budgets. Altogether, a family claiming all possible elements: standard allowance, child elements, disability support, work allowances, and childcare costs, could receive a substantial amount per month. But the reality is that most claimants will only receive a portion of this maximum total. And for those with savings above the thresholds we mentioned earlier, even this portion could be chipped away at pound by pound. And remember, all of this sits under the shadow of the benefit capital. This cap limits the total amount of benefit a household can receive. If you live in London, your benefits are capped at just under £26,000 a year. Outside of London, the cap is closer to £23,000. So even if you're entitled to a wide range of support, the overall cap may mean you receive less than expected. It's important to understand the structure, especially with ongoing reforms and policy changes being considered in Parliament. Universal Credit was introduced as a catch-all benefit to simplify the welfare system, replacing 6 legacy benefits. But for many, its complexity and strict rules are still a source of confusion, anxiety, and financial uncertainty. The savings threshold is a particularly contentious issue. Critics argue that penalizing people for saving is a disincentive to financial independence and responsibility. With rising costs in every part of life, from groceries to rent to childcare, having savings should be encouraged, not punished. But for now, that's the rule. Cross £6,000 in savings, and your universal credit starts shrinking. Cross £16,000, and you may lose it entirely. So what can you do? First, if you're receiving universal credit, it's essential to regularly check your online account and report any changes in your savings, income, or employment status. Any delay or omission can result in penalties or overpayments that must be repaid later. Second, if you're unsure about your eligibility or entitlements, use the benefit calculators on gov.uk or contact a local welfare advisor. They can help guide you through the maze of thresholds, allowances, and deductions. And finally, stay informed. As political discussions around welfare reform continue, changes to savings thresholds, work allowances, and benefit caps could be on the horizon. For now, though, these are the numbers. These are the rules. And they could be affecting you more than you realize. This is your money. This is your support system. Understanding how it works right down to the last £4.35 could make a huge difference in how much help you actually receive. Don't leave it to chance. Subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of DWP rules, universal credit updates, and benefit news that matters. Stay informed.